week to the Mets fans that like to crawl in our chat. I don't care anymore about Keith Hernandez. The people in the chat that crawl in, especially after the show, or actually, I noticed right after the game yesterday, they jumped in my comments to talk about how bad the Phillies are. And yes, against the Mets, the Phillies are a terrible baseball team. But let me just throw this out there for a second here. Keith Hernandez is still a moron for what he said 2 weeks ago about the Phillies. To not even want to broadcast games, like I've said it enough, I don't want to get into it. But against the Mets, the Phillies are a god-awful baseball team. If I told you, and I know some people were really excited about possibly splitting, I said going into the weekend, the Phillies have to at least split with the Mets. You working to be facing DeGrom, you working to be facing Scherzer, and then you go on to face a guy making his major league debut. And on the other side of it, you are going to be having your two aces, your number 1 and number 2 in Wheeler and Nola, going in this game, and you lose both those games to drop to 0-9 games as they start against the Mets. And your ace in this 4-game series was Bailey Falter. And he was a workhorse, too, going 6 innings, allowing just 2 earned runs. Wow, what a workhorse. And only, 84 pitches? I actually charted all these numbers here from the Phillies pitchers. Bailey Falter, 6 innings, 84 pitches, and Miscusi, 1 earned run. Okay. Nola, Wheeler, Gibson. 5 innings, 5 1/3, 4 1/3, in that order. 104 pitches, 106, 105. That is dreadful. And Nola, allowing 5 earned runs, got hit the most in this series. If I told you you're not seeing DeGrom and Scherzer, and you are seeing Nola and Wheeler, and you still only win 1 game, and the 1 game you win is started by Bailey Falter, that is ridiculous. Phillies just didn't look like they were ready for this series. When the Mets pulled off a double steal on the Phillies, you knew things weren't exactly going to go your way. And then in turn, in the very next game, the Phillies tried to pull off a double steal on the Mets, and that was a good effort. Here's your participation trophy, because that sure as hell didn't work. Rob Thompson said Stott delayed himself a little bit, and that was the problem there. Yeah, it was just a bad idea from Jump Street. You tried to throw it back in the Mets' faces, and it didn't work even a little bit. You know why? Because the Mets, I'll give credit where credit's due. I'll acknowledge the facts here, just like I did to point out what a moron Keith Hernandez is. No, that was in my head. Okay, I'm sorry. But if the Mets are going to go out there and they're going to throw it in your faces about what a bad defensive team you can be, about what a bad fundamental team you can be, and they're going to continue to make you choke throughout this regular season, well, I'm going to go ahead and not really tempt fate. And when I saw the double steal, I thought to myself, you're trying a little too hard here, Phillies, to play catch up with a team that's an upper echelon team when you are a wild card team. I said that going into the series. I said it coming out of the last Mets series. The Phillies are who we think they are. They are a wild card team. I still think this Phillies team is making the playoffs. I really hoped over this 4-game stretch where you're going to be facing their subpar pitching staff, you're going to have a better showing. They didn't have a better showing. They put up 7 runs yesterday on a guy making his major league debut in Buto, and they still weren't able to win that game. Awful. Ridiculous. It was extremely disappointing. And I know that a split would have, at that point, if Segura's home run would have just led to them winning, if they were able to come up with even a bigger 9th inning than what they did and got 3 runs to cross the plate as opposed to 1, I would have felt better that at least they split. But it would have felt like still a consolation prize. The fact that Bohm goes up there and gives you a 3-run home run in the first inning, then you tack on to that with a Nick Maton RBI single, and you up 4-0 after the first inning on a guy making his major league debut, you think you're going to be able to close that game out. Wasn't the case. You even get another 3-run home run from Alec Bohm later in the ball game. You think you're going to be able to close things out? Nope, not able to close things out. And I know the Phillies bullpen, and we'll get into this with Rob Thompson, Phillies bullpen is taxed. Knable's done for the year. Sir Anthony Dominguez is on the IL. You got David Robertson trying to play the role of hero yesterday. He ends up playing the role of GOAT, not the GOAT that's the good version, the bad version. And the Phillies couldn't get the victory. But it still would have felt like a consolation prize if David Robertson was able to go in there and win this ball game and close it out for the Phillies. That, of course, was not the case yesterday. And as you watch this game go on, I never felt like the Phillies had that win in their back pocket. I know some people thought after the Segura home run that this was going to be a case of the Phillies going up and actually splitting the series, and that could not have been further from the truth, unfortunately. But